joke. Red Sox fans have longed to hear it. The Boston Red Sox are world champions. Game over, series over, and the Red Sox are world champs again. And so are these fans. It hasn't happened at Fenway Park for 95 years. The Red Sox are world champions.
Boston organization has been well run for a long time now. From the top on down, here comes a 1-2 pitch. Red Sox win the World Series. 5-1 the final tonight. And the best team in baseball wins it all in 2018.
The Red Sox have won the World Championship. The Boston Red Sox beat the Los Angeles Dodgers 5-1. They win the World Series 4-1. And the Red Sox become the first team in the 21st century with 4 World Championships. Can you believe it?
Welcome to another episode of the Pesky Podcast. I am your host, the Ritt, and with me, I have our head writer, Mr. George Sutherland. George, what's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm doing great. By the way, a belated happy Father's Day to both you and DC. I'm doing fine. Just, staying busy and doing what I do.
Hey, I'm glad once again that you're a part of, us here at the Pesky Podcast. Loved your first article you wrote for us about Devin Marrero's home run ball being returned. But man, we are now coming upon the Chicago White Sox series coming up. And the White Sox, well, if you look at their roster, we've got some familiar faces over there we get to have a little reunion with. Kopech,
Yep.
he was him and Yoan Moncada were the two key pieces that got us Chris Sale and quite possibly the 2018 World Series.
Right. If you look back at that deal, there was a debate at the time whether or not you keep Moncada or Devers, and you go back and look at it now and go, they absolutely made the right decision. I happened to be in Portland right before the trading deadline at a game, and the fans were screaming, and I was sitting in right field, and the fans were screaming at Dombrowski saying, "Don't trade Devers."
Yeah.
So that proved out to be good. And then Kopech's taken a while to come up, but those were the two key pieces of that deal. And as you say, it got us the World Series in 18. So
yeah. Now they also have Andrew Benintendi. Him and Joe Kelly both were huge Boston fan favorites. I remember, what was it, 2018, the Benintendi's amazing catch he had.
Right.
Then you have Joe Kelly fighting Joe, Hey, loved him.
He's one of those guys that, that he'll always have a place in this town, a special place, much like Dave Roberts,
Mm-hmm.
and, the Veritek and, incident with A-Rod and things like that. There's just stories that, he's the stuff of legend and will be for a long time.
Yeah. But, hey, we have someone that knows the White Sox just a little bit more than we do. So I reached out to somebody from Southside. Hold on. Let me make sure I got it right. Southside Sox. And I got an editor to come on the show so we can talk about the upcoming series. And so our fans that listen to the Pesky Podcast, open up a little bit and get a little more knowledge of the series and, the White Sox roster. So without further ado, we're going to bring on Tina.
What's up, everyone? Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Hey, Thanks for sitting there and giving us some of your time to come on and talk a little Red Sox, White Sox series coming up.
Of course, yeah. Sometimes it is tiring to talk about our Sox because they are really disappointing. I'm sure you guys feel that here and there, but it's kind of exciting over there right now for you guys. So that's kind of cool. Outside of it being the worst decision or division to be a part of right now.
Yeah, it's crazy how, we could sit there and be almost, be last and be still in the wild card hunt because our division is just so tight right now. And like even the AL West is minus the who's last in that division right now?
Oh, the Athletics, they're terrible.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
How can we forget the A's, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Even that division is really good. The AL Central is kind of fallen apart over recent years.
That's like putting it really nicely, honestly. It's kind of a disaster over here. I mean, if you have a 500 record, you're in the running to win the division. So, yeah, like you guys would be crushing it over here, I imagine.
Oh, yeah. So, we Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we play the Chicago White Sox. We play you guys. And let's just start with, you. On my end, I couldn't get the pitching matchups. You said you had some probable pitching matchups. So let's just kind of go through game by game. Game one, I think you said who we got? Bayo, Paxton, and possibly Cutter Crawford.
Yep, I think that's what it looks like. And then on our end, I was seeing Lucas Giolito game one, Lance Lynn game two, and potentially Jesse Schultens. He's one of our AAA guys that's pulled up right now. He might be getting the start, but I know TBD on that third game.
Okay, well, let's sit there and start with game one. We're throwing mini Pedro, Brian Bayo, who is, doing big things for us over here. And you guys got, of course, everybody knows Lucas Giolito. Let's talk a little bit about Lucas Giolito, what he's been doing for you guys, and what to expect from him.
Totally. Last year might have been a different story. He definitely struggled a lot, kind of regressed off that really great 2021 year he had previously. But honestly, he's been like our top pitcher this year, especially if you're looking at the numbers, which is a little surprising considering we have Dylan Cease on our roster. But I guess you guys won't have to deal with him, so that's really great. But yeah, Giolito, he's got a 3.54 ERA, pretty good this year. He's kind of wishy-washy in some starts. Like he might not totally have the A game, but he's been able to grind it out. So we love that. I mean, it works for us for the most part, but if the offense isn't backing him up, it hasn't been working, of course. So that's kind of been like our pain point with really all of our pitchers is not having run support. But yeah, I mean, I say I feel most strongly if for our chances this weekend with Giolito on the mound. I think he's our most solid. I think that having maybe one of those AAA guys coming up, Jesse Schultens, a little exciting, and they could fresh arm coming in, and maybe that'll change it up. Lance Lynn has struggled, so to say the least. A lot of White Sox fans believe he is cooked. I'm up in the air. He pitched 16 Ks the other day in one game, kind of out of nowhere. So it's kind of, you don't really know what you're going to get with him right now. I know he's up there in age, so it's like, it's unsure. But I think really Giolito is probably our strongest arm, and maybe especially if the changeup is working, that will work in the Sox favor for sure.
Yeah, and he's going up against Brian Bayo, who Pedro said has one of the best changeups he's seen since his own changeup. George, you want to tell him what to expect a little bit about Brian Bayo?
Brian will remind you a lot of Pedro. His arm, everything comes out about the same. He has a wicked changeup, and then when he throws his fastball, it's got movement. For a young pitcher, he has developed over the last few games a tremendous presence on the mound. he is, and especially after coming off back-to-back starts versus the Yankees, he is riding high, and he is really, really maturing very quickly in front of us. He had a little rough in the beginning of the season. He came out, he's got a little bit of a late start, but the last 2 or 3 starts, he has really looked like he could be next year. He's the lead dog in the pack in this rotation, because he's a presence now. And what he did to the Yankees this weekend was incredible. So,
yeah, I loved when he threw his last pitch, which was the strikeout with the changeup, and just the passion he had when he came off the mound. Like I was like, man, that's him. And Tina, don't think that you guys are the only ones that when your pitchers are on, that you struggle to get run support. We have had so many games over here in Boston where we would be like, okay, we got an ace on the mound. He's doing great. And next thing you know, we lose 2-1.
Yep.
1-0. We can't get no run support because those bats are ice cold.
Yep.
So, game 2, we have Paxton, which he's been doing. He's been one of our biggest bargains all season. We're paying him $4 million a year, and he's just been killing it out there. He goes up against, you said, Lance Lynn.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the expect from this year's Lance Lynn.
This year's Lance Lynn could be a coin flip. You either will have lights out, or he's going to give up 6 home runs. It's like kind of been really nowhere in between. I mean, the ERA has been up there, and it's been consistent when he's pitching that he's giving up the many runs. So the fastball is his best asset. And if that's moving and it's working, it's great. If he's hanging it out in the middle of the plate, well, then that's going to be a problem. And Rafi's going to blast one, over left field wall. So it's kind of like we'll see. It's really every time. I don't really know what we're going to get. And I don't think Pedro Grafal, our manager, knows what we're going to get either. But they keep tossing them out there every 5-6 days. I don't really think we have any better options right now. So that's kind of where we're at. I mean, last year we kind of were in the same song and dance with Dallas Keuchel, but definitely a lot less command there. So, I mean, that was like a loose cannon, and it's maybe not quite escalated to there, but I think he's just getting up there in age. Teams are figuring out how to hit him and, what it is. So the fastball is just not as effective as it used to be, it seems like. So hopefully we get the one Lance Lynn we had the other day. I mean, if he's going to pitch 16 Ks, I'm all in on that. But again, just like you were saying, if we're only going to hit 1 run, 2 runs, that's not going to do the job. It just isn't at this point. So that's we're in a perpetual spiral of, 1 to 3 runs a game.
Yeah. George, you wanted to sit there and give a little preview of Big Maple Paxton?
Sure. I mean, I think, everybody was a little bit concerned in Boston. The big joke here was, who? Paxton who? I mean, everybody kept waiting and waiting and waiting. Well, he showed up and he looked ready to go on pitch 1. And with Sale down, he's the main guy right now, and he's delivering on it. He pitched very well against the Yankees. Not the Yankees, sorry. It's very well last night. The only mistake he made was to Vasquez. He left one out over the plate, and Vasquez does what he does every once in a while and put one in the seats. But, he looks like he did in Seattle on most nights. He's, fastball with movement, throwing in the high, throwing 96, 97. I think did he touch 98 last night, Rick, a couple of times? I mean, he's just bringing it. And and he's just out there, and he's just an incredible competitor, and you can see it. You can see the fire in his eyes. He goes out there. Another one he left when AC took him out. He went to the dugout and he got high fives all the way around. And he was pumped. he knew he had to come out and, no antics, no nothing. He was the consummate professional. And I think for some of the younger guys in this staff, he's that veteran leader that I think that they need, especially in the absence of Sale, because he's the guy that's going to go out on the mound every 5 days. And he's proven it over and over again. I'll take the ball and I'll do a good job for you. So
yeah, the only mistake that Paxton had in his last outing was giving up Vasquez which was ironic. His first home run of the year was against us. So but then you guys have a possible starter up from AAA going up against who could be our possible starter, Cutter Crawford. Talk a little bit about him and if he is to make the start for you guys.
Yeah, definitely. He's only made one start for us previously, but he's having a decent year so far. He's pitched 19 innings. He's usually coming in on relief. And his whip is pretty good. It's like right around 1, and he's got a 2.79 ERA. So if we are picking someone from the bullpen to start, it probably would be him, because Reynaldo Lopez is kind of been very wishy-washy this year, and last year is who we would have picked, honestly, as like our long spot start. But Jesse Schultens, he's 29. He's came up last year a little bit too. He mainly his fastball velocity isn't really great, but he's gotten the job done. It's got a little bit of movement, but it's mainly a slider, I think, that he throws. And when that's working, it's definitely helping. He doesn't, he's not getting that too hard hit, but there's not really that big of a sample size right now. So it's kind of like hard to really gauge how he's going to start a game. But if it's not him, I mean, it might just be a bullpen game, like a couple innings, and then go from there. And the bullpen's also been kind of hit or miss. Lately, they've been better than not. But they've definitely had their moments recently, and we're kind of on a weird stretch right now where we're losing, but we're not like fully out of the race at all. So it's like, it's really, who knows? But if we do get Jesse, I mean, it could be good. It's a young guy. I don't know really like if it will be him though. It's like lately it's been wishy-washy. So I'm wondering if we're going to get Tanner Banks again. Who knows?
Yeah. I would much rather prefer Tanner Banks in my case, just because we have a lefty killer with Rob Refsnyder, that just loves to eat up lefties.
Yep.
So, but George, go ahead.
Nope, that's it. I was just saying, like, we usually struggle one way or the other depending on who's pitching. So for us, it's like it doesn't matter.
So George, we got Cutter Crawford as a possible go out there for Sunday. What can we expect? This could possibly be 3-4 innings and then just work the bullpen the rest of it.
That's kind of the way I see it. I mean, his history is, when he was doing the back end and long relief for us, 2 to 3 innings, he and Winkowski were a two-headed monster for us, and they could put either one out there and they did the job. Crawford, second time through the order, seems to have issues. Not unlike what Houck had. Houck seems to have gotten past it. Crawford hasn't gotten to that point. When he's on, he's very much on. But yeah, I see 3, maybe 4 innings out of Crawford, and then next man up out of the bullpen and see what we can do to string it together. And if the offense is moving along, then you can survive that.
Yeah, as long as we can get some long innings, which we have been. Bayo's went out 7 innings, past 2-3 starts.
Right.
Paxton went at least 6. So, if we could save the bullpen, we could have a bullpen game Sunday night against the White Sox there.
Right, and that's been the key. With Paxton, Bayo, and now Whitlock. They've been giving 6 and 7 innings, which has saved the bullpen on a number of occasions, which, going into this weekend when they're going to need at least one game that they're going to have to trot a bunch of pitches out there, that's a good problem to have. So, we'll see what happens there.
Okay. So that's our starting pitching matchups. Let's go over to the roster. You guys, the White Sox have on paper a decent roster. Like, you guys got Grandal as a catcher, Vaughn, who is really promising. He's in his second year?
Yeah, his second year. He has been great, but this year he's kind of been up and down, so not as consistent as last year. But yeah, he's definitely been exciting.
Yeah, you guys got Elvis Andrus.
Yep.
You guys got Yohan Moncada, but I think he's on the IL, isn't he?
Yeah, he's on the IL right now, sadly.
So, but your backup, Jake Berger, isn't. I kind of liked in preseason, spring training. I like what I seen from him a little bit. Covering third base.
Yeah.
You guys got. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, like, he's been like super exciting this year, and if you honestly, for Sox fans, probably the most exciting. I mean, he's just kind of come out. He's a great dude. He's hitting the ball super hard and just constantly hitting home runs. So the Burger Bomb is like the trademark in Chicago right now. So yeah, he's just been really exciting. His defense is average at best, I would say. It's definitely improved a little bit from the last year, but as a replacement for Moncada, it's been really great. He's really the only one that's been like really mashing the lineup outside of Luis Robert Jr. And we kind of will take all the offense we can get right now. And previously he was not hitting righties, and now he's just hitting everyone. And we will take that, especially when we're playing at home. He is like unstoppable right now.
Yeah, that's one thing in the majors. If you can sit there and make the adjustments, you turn the first corner.
Yeah.
Like on our team, we had Jarren Duran last year who just couldn't make the adjustments. This year, he's making all the right adjustments. He played a game against the Twins, and oh my God, he had 3 doubles, he had 2 broken bats, and he was just on fire. So that there with Berger, like once you make those adjustments and are able to make them as needed, that's when that you're official MLB major leaguer.
Totally. And last year he was like kind of doing the same thing at first, hitting the ball really hard, and then teams and pitchers figured out how to pitch to him, and he kind of was cold. And as the year went on in the playoff race, there wasn't really just a spot on the roster with like the other injuries we were struggling with. So it's been really great that he's getting those MLB at bats this year, because it's really useful whether he's going to stay here or not. Because at this point, I don't really know who will be here next year, as we might have a whole sale coming in the next month or so. So, but yeah, it's really exciting.
And just talking about a sale, you got your shortstop, Tim Anderson, that a lot of teams would love to have on that roster.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I envisioning the Dodgers like trying to swoop in on that any second here now, because they don't really have much over there at short, but I don't want to see that.
But then you guys got Benintendi, Eloy Jimenez, Luis Robert Jr., who's just killing the ball, night in and night out.
Yep.
So like you guys got on paper a great team. You guys, just like the Red Sox, we're kind of similar this season, except for we probably put together quite a few more wins in a row than you guys have.
Yeah, most likely. Well, we've had like maybe 2 or 3 at this point. At one point, we lost 10 in a row, so that's our record for the year.
So
fun times that was.
But George, you want to talk about a couple of our key guys that we have on our lineup?
Sure. I think the biggest threats right now in our lineup are Alex Verdugo, Justin Turner, and Duran. Yoshida's fallen off a little bit. He was on fire. My goodness, he was on fire for like 8 or 9 games in a row. Those are the big ones. And, this is our push, I think, coming into the All-Star break. And Ritt and I agree. We think that he should be on the All-Star game. I mean, he is doing everything right. He's playing great defense. He's running the bases well, which has been a problem with him. But the timely hitting and the ball is flying off his bat. Yesterday, he hits his laser down the right field line for a triple to clear the bases. He's just been doing that all season long, and he's doing it from the 3-hole because they moved Duran to leadoff, which I was kind of surprised at. But Duran seems to have done a very good job yesterday. 3 doubles, including one that should have been a single for everybody else, but the kid's got incredible speed, so he's legging them out and getting there. Turner is in one of his hot spots right now, and that's good. Raffy's still hitting the ball for power every now and then. The average isn't there, and everybody else is contributing. But those are the keys in terms of offense. So
yeah. It's disappointing with Raffy a little bit that he's striking out more than he should be striking out, But let's talk bullpen. Now, you guys have one of the biggest stories from the first couple months with what Liam Hendricks went through, and I even tuned into the game when he came back for his first game back, and that was just to see what he endured and gone through, and then to see him come back to pitch, that was truly a heartfelt thing.
Yeah, that was like a beautiful moment. I went to that game, and although they lost, it was such a great game. Honestly, just getting him back on the field, especially after what he's gone through at such a small amount of time too, when you really boil it down. He's and he looked great too, a couple outings after that too, and it's great to have him back. It feels like the bullpen's more whole and complete, and it's nice to just have his leadership around because he really is just an awesome guy. He's done so much philanthropic wise for the city of Chicago. So it really just having him is makes the team better as a whole, even if he's not pitching. And he's on the IL right now, and hopefully.
Do they think the elbow inflammation is something serious, or is it just a nagging issue?
They're unsure, it seems like, but I'm hoping it's not anything nagging because I know he previously had a UCL tear and was pitching with it, and he was okay, didn't want to have the surgery. And so hopefully it's not worse now, because that would just be heartbreaking for him to come back and then not being able to pitch some more. But just in general, it's been great having him back. The spirit of the team has been lifted.
Yeah. Do you sit there and think, Tina, I've been talking to DC about this, off and on, and a couple others. The MLB is going to have to look in the offseason about adjusting possibly the pitch clock for the amount of injuries that these pitchers are enduring now. Yeah. Because they're not getting the couple extra you're shaving time off the game, but then you're doing it at the expense of the pitcher's arms. Right.
Yeah, I think the pitch clock is great in some aspects, but to your point, it's definitely not worth, shaving 20 minutes off a game, whatever, if it is even going to be that much, if it's not going to, if everyone's going to keep getting injured. I think maybe an extra 5 seconds would be helpful. And if there's runner on base, 25 seconds, runner not on base, 20 seconds, I think that would still shave down the game time like they want to, and hopefully preserve some of these arms, because we should be looking at the health of the players. They don't need to be consistently on the IL and being injured. It's just not healthy and sustainable. So I'm with you. I think that there could definitely be some kind of adaptations there, at least increasing it when there's runners on, because then you're trying to figure out, you're going to pay attention to the guys on base. You're rushing to the pitcher or to the batter. And it's just it's a whole mess. And then you're just stressed out and for no reason. And I think there's already enough stress that comes with the territory of the job.
Yeah. But who else has been stepping up in your bullpen? Please don't chuckle. Now that Liam Hendricks is out, who else do you have in the bullpen to close the game out? Who's your new setup person, etc.?
Yeah, so we've been going a lot with Kendall Graveman towards the end of the game and Joe Kelly when it makes sense, but it seems like Graveman's kind of been the go-to closer recently. But we had some young guys in the bullpen that have been really great. We've had Keenan Middleton, who's been like kind of came out of nowhere this year, and Gregory Santos. They've both had like low ERAs for most of the year and have been lights out in some instances. So really, it's great to see that kind of production from them, especially, you know, not having some of those veteran guys that are producing. And, you know, Joe Kelly was on the IL for some of the beginning of the year because he got injured during like a bench clearing brawl situation. So classic on our end.
Of course.
Yeah, right. Naturally. And yeah, so I think really looking at Graveman probably as our closer. He's also been hit or miss. He's been good for the most part, I would say. But there's definitely been some times where he's just blown the save and, you know, here we are giving up the game that we were winning 3 runs and now we're down like 5. So that's happened a couple times. It's just like the nature of the bullpen. It's the most expensive bullpen. And they don't really perform up to what they should be, but we're making it by, I would say right now.
George, would you like to talk about our bullpen going?
Of late, the bullpen has done an outstanding job. I think one of the big differences between last year and this year is the fact that we now have a bona fide setup guy in Martin, and you have Kenley Jansen, a very qualified closer in that role. They've been mixing it up for what I call the seventh, for the first guy out of the pen in the 7th inning. For a while, they're waiting for, I think we're waiting for John Schreiber to come back. They've been mixing it up a little bit with that guy. Of late, Nick Pivetta, who got put back in the pen because he really wasn't doing it, when they sent him out as a starter, has looked very good, I think, coming out of the pen. He's done it. Corey Kluber the other night looked good. Still,
and we normally don't hear those words.
Those not this year. No. I think I made the joke. What was it, 2 weeks ago? Even with a 21 lead, I'd still be nervous. But they put him out there in the 15-5 blowout, and he did fine. I think they're still finding their way, and they keep bringing guys up to make it work. Jake Snell seems to be, the current favorite, to go out there and run them out there. They're making it work. I think that going towards the deadline, if they continue to play well, they know that they need to bring in another bullpen arm. And, if they're buyers, they definitely need a bullpen arm, in addition to a front end starter. But, for right now, they're making it work. They got the 2 solid guys at the end, which is a very good problem to have because they haven't had it, and both have performed really well. And the other day in the doubleheader in the Yankee series, Martin closed game 1, closed in parentheses. Kenley closed game 2. And this is what should have happened. Again, it's the Tampa Bay Rays series instead of trotting Kenley out 5 hours after the first game. You got to make those decisions. And I think AC learned his lesson from that. So, I right now the bullpen seems to be a strength that they've been calling on. They haven't been allowing a whole lot of runs lately. I know over the last, few games they're running a lot better in terms of pitching. So they're trending better. I'll take it. Their overall for the season is like 20th, but they're trending up, in terms of what they're putting out there on the mound. So, that's what you got. And like I said, the end of the pen is a good one right now. So,
yeah. So let's talk a little bit. We're not going to see a lot of it, but people want to know about the farm system. Tina, can you sit there and tell us about a couple stars that for the White Sox that are in the wings waiting to come up and that we might see maybe later this year?
Yes. So Honestly, if you asked me a week ago, I probably would have had more, but we keep at bringing them up. So this week we brought up Jose Rodriguez. People keep calling him Popeye. That's his nickname. But he was in Double-A in our Birmingham squad, and they pulled him up this past week just to kind of bring a little bit more depth. It was an interesting move, though, bringing him straight up from Double-A when we do have a bunch of guys in in AAA ball that have been up and are familiar with the team, have played in the major leagues. So it'll be interesting to see when they use him, if he's going to make an appearance over the next week. I mean, I can't imagine they're going to bring him up and not play him, but it would also be very typical White Sox to do that because they've previously done that. But we do have Lenin Sosa. He's a middle infielder that is in AAA. He's been up as well. He's killing it down there. I mean, at this point, he really just needs major league at-bats. And the problem with our roster is that there's not that many places to shift people in and out, especially now that we have Elvis Andrus back again this year. And Tim Anderson, however, of course, he's on the IL right now. But and then Oscar Colas is a really exciting player. He also was up at the beginning of the year, started when we were injury-ridden, if you will, and he hits the ball super hard. That's kind of what's really exciting about him. He will, smoke one as a moonshot to the concourse and just out of nowhere. And it doesn't look like he, lifted a finger, kind of like Luis Robert Jr. in that sense. But the problem with our roster really is that there's too many guys that play the same position. We have a lot of first base DH guys, so it's hard to bring other people up at the time. But I'd say definitely Jose Rodriguez would have been my pick, but we just brought him up this week. So that's really cool to see how that fits into our lineup, how he performs at this level. And yeah, I'm excited to see how he fits in, but we'll see. Again, interesting moves all around on our part. So not really sure how it'll shake out.
Any young pitching, Tina, that, looks bright, they have a bright future that could make an appearance?
Young pitching, there's not much I would say right now, but we brought Jesse Schultens up, who's been great. Davis Martin is one of our prospects that pitched a few games last year, spot start, but he is having Tommy John surgery. So definitely he's one to look out for. He was pretty solid in some of his debuts last year. So we'll see how he rehabs really, but that's kind of that would be our top AAA prospect right now. Tanner Banks isn't probably going to be super, it won't be as, he's not going to be a starter really is what I'm trying to say. So in terms of starter positions, Davis Martin is the most promising. We'll see how the rest of them shake out. But they've really just shuffled in and out so much at this point that we've already seen a lot of how they are. But also not enough because again, they need major league reps.
Right.
Well, let's go prediction time. We'll start with George. What do you think Red Sox are going to turn out this weekend?
This has been a problem this year. If they play to the level of their opponent, it's not going to be good. If they continue to play like they have been over the last few games, they should take 2 and probably 3 games from the White Sox. I think this is also a very important series in another way, in that I think that the White Sox are one of those teams that at the deadline are going to be sellers. I think some veteran players are going to be moving, and they're going to try to restock and redo. I can see the Red Sox making a deal with the White Sox. We've talked here about Tim Anderson a couple of times, and to try to preserve Trevor Story's arm. Yeah. Given the fact that they want to put him at shortstop coming back, and I feel that would be a huge mistake until he's proven. Old friend Joe Kelly, veteran guy, knows how to pitch in Boston. They love him. Would be there. Liam Hendricks would be somebody I'd like to see, but I'd like to see a couple more outings out of him, make sure that the elbow was okay. Certainly somebody that you could pilfer there. And if they really want to make a splash, Cease would be, but that would be a high cost to bring him over. But I think this is an important series for the Sox because, they've got to continue to make the progress. And this is one of those teams they should beat and just move on. So honestly, I think 2 out of 3, but there's that nagging doubt in my mind.
Tina?
That's a very fair, like that makes a lot of sense, especially looking at it from your end. We're playing at home, so it's, who knows? We might put up 15 runs in a game. We might put up 0. I'll give us the benefit of the doubt and say we'll take 2 games. I'm not sure which 2 of those. I feel like we can maybe pull out a Lucas Giolito W if the hitting is working. If the hitting is not backing him up at all, and they're just striking out all night against Bayo, which you said could be a possibility. I don't know. Then it could be we might lose 2 out of 3. I think we probably will lose 2. I'm going to give us the benefit of the doubt and say we'll win 2. Maybe Lance Lynn will play off his last start and hold it down. And, just being at home might help some of the batters, especially like Jay Berger, Luis Robert, and they tee off at home. I'm trying to be optimistic because they don't give us that much to be optimistic about. But I'm excited about the series. I think it's great. I always like playing the Red Sox. It also helps playing someone in the AL East. That's not the Yankees. And, trying to play up to that talent, because playing our division, we just play down to them. I don't think that helps anybody. So, yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to be on George's side. I'm going to say 2 out of 3.
That's
I want to sit there and say I got that gut feeling that we get 3 out of 3, but the last time I predicted it, we did not sit. I think we lost like 6 out of 7 games. So I'm going to be 2 out of 3. I'm going to sit there and take that. Tina, who do you think the White Sox MVP of the series is going to be?
Of the series?
Of the series.
I think I'm going to go Eloy Jimenez. He also hits the ball really well at home. He's been hot recently. Let's see it. I think he's due to have a good series. And it'd be obvious to pick Berger or Robert because they've been doing that at home all season. But I think Eloy might be one to watch for sure because he's got that raw power, and it's great to watch too.
Okay, George, who do you think the Red Sox series MVP is going to be?
I think Massa. I think Yoshida's due to come back. And you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if Devers also, but I'm going with Massa. I think he's going to make people sit up and take notice in Chicago. So
Devers is at the White Sox to make him look good, so this might be what he needs.
Could very well be.
I've been bouncing a couple of people back and forth in my mind, but I am going to have to stick with the guy I started the season with, Alex Verdugo. I think Verdugo is just going to continue doing what he's been doing. He's going to continue hitting the ball like he's supposed to. I kind of do like how he's settled in recently to the number 2 spot behind Jarren Duran. And when Duran's not playing, then he goes back up to the leadoff. But I got to go Alex Verdugo. So, but Tina, I want to sit there and thank you for coming on. You were great. I love sitting there and talking to other editors, other writers for the other teams, because that's what gives the people that listen to our podcast a different vibe of, okay, it's not just talking about Red Sox all podcasts. You get to hear a preview of the up and coming team, who we're playing against, who's injured, who's been hot for him. So when you're watching the game, you could be like, hey, I remember when Tina was talking about, Berger, hitting for power after he, belts a home run and stuff like that. So the floor is yours right now. Tell everybody where they can hit you up at.
Perfect. Yeah. First of all, thank you so much for having me. It was great talking with you both. You can find me on anywhere on Southside Sox. Like I said, I write, cover the games, recaps. I write about the minor leagues. And yeah, so great time over there. Definitely check that out. And then you can follow me on Twitter too at little_KTina. So find me there, usually talking or complaining about the Sox. So what else is there to do, right? So anyways, but thank you so much for having me. It's been awesome. I too love talking with people from other teams, and, you know, I think it's great. The Red Sox are an exciting team, an exciting division. So it'll be a good series.
Hey, I appreciate you stopping by, Tina. Anytime we want to talk White Sox, we're going to reach out to you then.
Of course. Yeah. Thanks so much for having me.
So thanks, Tina, for stopping by.
Take care.
Now, George, now we are setting up our interview we had. I sat down with a high A high A pitcher, Maceo Campbell. Mm-hmm. We sit there and we were able to talk to him. He gave us some of his time. So now, without further ado, let's bring up this interview of Maceo Campbell. Today's guest, we have Maceo Campbell. He is a relief pitcher for the Red Sox Single A, the organization. So without further ado, let's bring him in.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, man, how you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, thanks for giving us the opportunity to chat with you a little bit.
No problem.
So let's just start out from the beginning, and then what got you into baseball? Did you sit there and play a lot of other sports? Were you a well-rounded athlete? Let's start from there.
So as early as I can remember, the first experience I had with baseball was my parents giving me like a little plastic ball and bat when I was like maybe like 3 or 4, and I just fell in love with it. I just could not put that thing down. So, and then when I was around like 5 or 6, they ended up putting me into like an actual team sport of baseball. But the actual first team sport I played was actually soccer, and then I played a little basketball. Then I played baseball, and the thing about baseball is I actually started playing up when I first started playing. So I was supposed to play T-ball, except my dad signed me up for the wrong team. So they put me into machine pitch with like kids who were like 2 years older than me. Yeah, it wasn't really a problem for me. Like I meshed really well with them. I was able to play at their levels. So from there on, I just loved it and just kept going with it. I probably stopped playing other sports when I was about 13. That was when I decided I just wanted to play only baseball. But I played football, basketball, and soccer growing up as well.
What positions did you play in, football, basketball, and soccer?
In football, I played quarterback and linebacker. In basketball, I played like forward, either small or power forward. And then in soccer, I usually played attacking mid.
Okay. So high school baseball, little league going up. When did you start with the pitching aspect? Because most kids love the hitting aspect, but what made you sit there and switch it up to, wanting to go pitching a little bit?
Well, even now, I still love the hitting aspect. Like, it would honestly be amazing if one day somebody called me and was like, hey, like, we think that you would be great playing outfield and hitting for us. Like, that would be crazy in my mind. I would definitely run with that. But I'd always been one of the harder throwers on the team. Like, like I was saying, I'd always been one of the harder throwers on the team. So in 10U, my coach had decided to just put me on the mound because I threw harder than everybody else. And that season, it really worked out well. Like, I pitched really well that season. And then from there, I just kind of ran with it. I'll say this. I kind of got away from pitching once I hit the age of 12 or 13. Mm-hmm. Then I mainly played the corners, and I caught as well. And in high school, once my sophomore year, I transferred high schools from public school to private school. And when I got to private school, they realized that I would be very useful on the mound. So they started having me pitch a little bit then. Kind of got away from it my sophomore year. And then into junior year, that was when I really got back into it. And I started taking it very seriously and like doing all the necessary things to develop as a pitcher. And so I'd say from about the age of 16 on, that was when I really took pitching very seriously.
Yeah, playing catcher, did that kind of help you a little bit to understand, to trust your catcher now that you're pitching, to call the game, call the right pitches in certain situations?
Well, it's funny that you say that. Honestly, in my opinion, I was not very good at calling pitches as a catcher. I was just honestly just a mix-it-up guy. Like, I would never double up on signs and things like that. So I was just calling a different pitch every single time and not really listening to the game. But now that I've been in pro ball and played college ball, like, I trust my catcher a lot. And my pitching coach last year would always say the catcher only makes suggestions, but the catchers I've played with thus far tend to make really good suggestions, so I trust them a lot.
Going to back to pitching, once you started doing it, taking it seriously, who did you go to kind of help develop your pitches that you use today, the fastball, the slider, and the curveball?
Well, honestly, just the coaches that I have around me and within the org. In the off season, I don't really tend to work out with in a training facility or like with other players or pitching coaches, things of that nature. Just because of where I live, it's not really available to me. So a lot of the time, I'm working out by myself and just doing what I know how to do and getting my own videos and critiquing myself. But I'd say a lot of my development comes from being with the organization itself.
Okay. You have 3 catchers on your team. Which one are you more comfortable with? Because some pitchers were always like, okay, I have more of a connection with this catcher. This is my preferred catcher. Once you get to the big leagues, most of the time you can sit there and say, yeah, he's catching me.
Well, as reliever, I don't really have that luxury of really selecting what catcher I want. So I've kind of gotten really comfortable with all of them catching me. I will say that I kind of feel closer, like just relationship wise, to Jonathan Diaz, but that's because he's always in the bullpen with us. And I've been playing with him since I was in rookie ball. So like we know each other very well. But for the most part, I'm comfortable throwing all 3 of our catchers.
Being in the bullpen, when I went to Fenway, I always enjoyed watching their games. They play in the bullpen. I used to love watching Joe Kelly out there spitting the old sunflower seeds in the cup, and he was just a beast out there doing it. Going and watching the Woo Sox play, they play a little, some bocce ball, rolling the ball, trying to get it on the plate. I talking to Theo. They did a movie game where they had to name a movie, pick an actor in the movie, and then you got to pick a movie that the actor, another one they was in. What games do you guys play out there in the bullpen to kind of pass the time?
Well, the thing about the Greenville Drive bullpen of 2023 is I wouldn't say that we play a lot of games. Like, honestly, the first time this season that we even played a game in the bullpen was last week in Brooklyn when we started playing bocce. But typically, we always have a second inning question, and it can be a question about anything that anyone thinks of. So, like, whoever has the question for the day thinks of it, and it can be outlandish. It can be a thought-provoking one. It can be literally anything that you think of, and you get to ask the question, and it just goes from there. Like, we're a very talkative bullpen, so a lot of our time is just spent like just talking and rapping it out and like learning about each other and things of that nature. And that really helps pass the time, I feel.
In the bullpen, you said that you have a good connection with the catcher, Jonathan, because he's out there the most. Bullpen wise, what pitchers kind of are you close with? Which ones do you kind of think you're similar with that you guys can work with each other? And which ones are just like the complete opposite of you?
Here's the thing. I wouldn't say that we have anybody who is the complete opposite of me. I mean, like, yeah, we all have like different stuff and our pitches profile differently, but on a personal scale, we're all like very, very similar guys. I feel like that's why we meshed really well. I'll say this: my closest friends in the bullpen are probably Joey Stock, Nate Tellier, and Graham Hoffman. But like I said, all the other guys know a great deal about me and vice versa. So, I mean, I feel I'm very close to everyone out there. But those three I just named, I feel I'm the closest to because we all signed together and we were the first friends that we even made coming into the org. So we all developed a nice relationship with each other.
Going from college to going to single A, what's the difference there? You know, feeling going from a college level aspect to it to where it's pretty much the same team all season to going to a single A, low A, high A. You know, with the recent interactions in the organization, you know, some pitchers could be getting called up to double A, triple A soon. What's the biggest difference there? You know, not knowing where you're going to be, possibilities of who your teammates are going to be from week to week.
Well, I'll say this: in college, like there's a set rotation for everything. Like you know your role, you know when you're most likely going to get in the game and everything like that. So you can kind of like, I don't want to say schedule yourself or have a prepared schedule for yourself for each game and day, but that's how I felt. And also as a starter in college, I had my specific day of each week that I was throwing, but now as a reliever, I never really know when I'm going to play. And also being at the lower levels of minor leagues, there isn't necessarily a role that you have on the team. It's just when your name is called, go out there and perform. And I kind of like it that way. It kind of takes it a step back and makes it removes the and gur of it and the whole I gotta perform, I gotta do this and that, and it's just more of just go out there and get your reps. Now, granted, we're definitely always out there playing to win, but at the same token, at this level, it's kind of you have to be a little bit more selfish with your playing, you know, because you're trying to get up to the big leagues just like everyone else is. So it's more about getting your reps and performing well when you're able to get those reps.
Is there anybody in the organization so far that kind of like took you under their wing and kind of like showed you the ropes and is giving you a good advice?
Honestly, I'd say everybody. I feel that I learned from every player in the org. I try to pick everyone's brain about the things that they do well and why they do it well. And so just doing that to everyone, I feel has helped me a lot.
Do you ever get a chance being a pitcher to play around during batting practice at all?
So last year in Salem, I would come to the field a little bit earlier than everyone else just so I could take a little tee work here and there just to keep the feel of hitting. And in the off season, I also go take batting practice with a lot of my friends that are still playing. But here in Greenville, nah, not at all. We've actually thrown, I think, 3 shutouts this year. And after each one, like I've tried to put in motion getting pitchers BP, but it has not come to fruition yet.
Oh, you got to sit there and try to work with that a little bit and be like, hey, you know, we're throwing shutouts. You got to give the pitchers some sort of reward.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying.
So, would you be willing? Because I'm pretty sure you would be if they sit there and said, hey, you know, you're a great reliever, but we'd like to sit there and try to see if you could be a two-way player. Would you be interested in that?
If that was something that happened to me today, that would be the best thing that happened to me all year. I would love to be a two-way player.
Just look at Shohei Ohtani. You know, he's on the way far end of the spectrum, but like his batting average against pitchers is outrageous. And then his pitching, I think his pitching is like ridiculously against batters. So he's like got the best of both worlds. But man, there's something to sit there and show. You know, you sit there and said you still got a passion for hitting. You know, you played the corners, but your strength is pitching. So, you know, just keep plugging at it, and maybe keep putting a bug in their ear.
Yeah, I definitely am. I tell my teammates all the time. Well, at least recently, I've been telling them that this offseason I'm going to make a highlight video of me hitting and playing defense, and I'm going to send it to the Oregon, see what they say.
Hey, maybe even sit there and get with a couple of the bullpen guys, a couple of starters, and be like, hey, can I sit there and take some BP and have you guys throw to me?
Yeah, definitely. That's also what I'm trying to put in the works as well.
Okay. We're going to go starting pitcher. Who would you love to sit there and take yard in a batting practice against?
Who would I love to take yard? Probably Hunter Dobbins.
That's just bullpen. Who?
In the bullpen, who would I love?
Yeah.
I'm going to have to go with Jordan DiValerio.
Well, why do you choose him?
He and I just have a really funny relationship, and I feel like if I was getting that bat against him, he would definitely go all out against me. And me hitting a bomb off of him would just put the icing on the cake.
Yeah. So besides baseball, what do you enjoy doing in your spare time?
A big part of my life is Fortnite. I used to actually make a pretty good amount of money off of it while playing, like especially in COVID. And I still play to this day. So Fortnite, and then probably snowboarding. I'm really into snowboarding, but there's a clause in my contract now that says I can't snowboard, so I had to put that on hold for a while.
Well, first things first, you know how many people and how many friends, including my kids, make fun of me for playing Fortnite?
It's the best game out.
Oh, man, I just upgraded my computer. Man, we got to sit there and hook up, and we got to sit there and play sometime. I can't say I'm the greatest, but my kids always sit there and say that they're better than me. I'm like, dude, I've got more solo wins than you guys. So you might be a better team, but I'm a better person by myself.
Exactly. I'm a big solo player.
Well, when I play with them, my son and my stepson, they leave me behind. Mm-hmm. And then when they get in trouble, they're all yelling, "Where are you at?" Well, you didn't tell me where you're going. Like, I'm like, you can't be doing that. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But snowboarding, like, what got you into snowboarding? That's kind of like an off the rails kind of hobby.
So when I was younger, I used to be really into skateboarding. And then I was about 10 or 11 when my parents took me. Actually, no, I was maybe about 4 or 5 the first time I ever hit the slopes, but I was skiing. And like I said, I was really into skateboarding. And then maybe when I was about like 10, I took a snowboarding class when the next time I went to the mountain. And I just fell in love with it. And then from there on, I just would snowboard just about every year.
Oh, see. And of course, you sit there and, all pitchers, all quarterbacks, they all have like clauses where you can't do anything off the rails, Yeah. So, man, it's kind of good for the team and for you, for your career. But then if you have a passion for it, it's kind of like, man, I would love to sit there and just go out and do it, but I can't because I have a commitment to make.
Yeah. I kind of I take the kicks off a little bit in the off season by just strapping into my board when I'm just sitting in the house and just mess around on the carpet with it on or something like that.
So, let's sit there and go to pitching. Back to pitching, and you have the fastball, you have the slider, and the curve. So which one do you feel has the most upside for you in your arsenal? And is there any other pitch that you would like to add to your arsenal?
So the most upside in my arsenal probably would be my slider. Over recent weeks, I've developed maybe 4 to 5 more inches of a sweep onto it. and killed some of the vertical action on it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of gotten a lot better and has been grading a lot higher. And then after that, I'd probably say my fastball as well, just because of how much carry I get on it. And on a good day, I can run it up pretty hard. Lately, I've been working on a Vulcan changeup, and I would really love to add that to my mix soon. So I'm just hoping.
The Vulcan changeup, like I haven't heard people like talk about that for quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
So who showed it to you, or did you find it on your own, and who's helping you work with that?
So I first discovered it this off season. I had just finished throwing a live BP session, and I was driving home and I was listening to a podcast, and I forgot the guy's name, but I think he plays for the Brewers. And he was talking about how he developed the Vulcan change, and he was basically said that he just put a splitter using his middle finger and ring finger, and then he just threw like a fastball and just had crazy action on it. So when I first found out about it, I actually didn't try throwing it. I had thought about that, and then I said, well, maybe I'll try throwing a sinker. And so this offseason, I tried to develop a sinker / two seam. Took it into spring training. I mean, it had pretty good movement, but for whatever reason, got away from it. And then at the beginning of the season, me and my throwing partner, before we started throwing, I just was messing around, and I grabbed a Vulcan grip, and I threw it to him, and it was really good. And so since then, I've just been working on the throwing program. I've thrown it in the bullpen a few times, but I haven't taken it in the game yet.
So going from having 3 pitches to being able to throw in the 4th pitch, does that kind of throw the batters off, because that's not really in your repertoire when they're trying to scout you in the scouting report? So does that kind of give you an extra advantage until they catch on that you're using it, and then how well it's producing for you?
Yeah, it definitely will give me an advantage. So actually, when I first signed with the Red Sox and got into the org and all that in 2021, I was actually throwing a changeup, and I think I was throwing it maybe like 22-23% of the time. So it was actually like really a part of my my arsenal, and it was actually a really good pitch. And then last year, 2022, I maybe threw a changeup maybe like 4 times the entire season. So I lost it, and I was trying to get it back this offseason before I started throwing a sinker. And actually throwing a sinker is me not getting my changeup back is the reason why I started throwing the sinker. So it's just kind of gone from there. So I'm really hoping that I can get that 4th pitch back into the mix.
What is your end goal? Would you like to be a long relief, just a setup guy, a closer? Like, what would be your perfect goal, to work your way up and get to that call up to the majors?
Whatever role they feel that they want me in, as long as I'm getting playing time and it's enough playing time for them to see that I'm progressing and developing, it doesn't matter to me. So
okay, let's sit there and switch it up a little bit. I love to ask this question. I stole it from Section 10. Steve said it was okay. Hot tub time machine. Okay? You can go back into time and face any hitter you want. It's you versus them, bottom of the 9th. What batter would it be, and why?
All right. I already have this answer on the top of my head, and it's Barry Bonds. I have a running joke on the team that I say Barry Bonds would hit at most 100 off me with no home runs. So I'd like to face him.
Theo said the same thing. So far, Barry Bonds is that guy that people would love to sit there and face.
Mm-hmm.
So have you ever got a chance to meet Barry at all?
No, I have not.
Well, hopefully one day you can meet him and maybe sit there and take a little BP with him.
Yeah, I know. I'll be sick.
So since you enjoy hitting so much, let's flip-flop the question. what pitcher would you like to face if you had to pick anybody at all?
What pitcher would I like to face? Honestly, I have two, and it'd probably be either Shohei or Jacob deGrom, just because they're the best of the best in the pitching side of baseball. So I want to see what taking an at bat off of them would feel like.
Oh man, what were your thoughts with the World Baseball Classic, seeing Shohei and Mike Trout there? Two teammates going head to head. What was your thoughts on that?
It was pretty surreal, and honestly, just that one single at bat alone just shows you how much better pitchers are than hitters. And I'm not saying that to like put a knock to hitters or anything, but hitting is just crazy hard. It's the hardest thing to do in all sports. And so it just shows you that, like, if you're a good dominant pitcher and you just stick with your mix and pitch to the best of your abilities, you're going to come out on top most of the time.
So, yeah, I always went back to the 2018 World Series with, Chris Sale coming out and the swing and the miss by Machado. Like, that's just crazy. And everybody's like, oh, you can hit a baseball. Dude, you got so many seconds to catch pick up on the pitch, try to see what pitch he's throwing, where he's releasing it at, and swing all at the same time. I'm like, dude, that's crazy. You can't. There's a reason why you guys are the best of the best. Playing for major league organizations and playing in the majors. Like, to be able to do all that in microseconds, it's crazy.
Yeah, it takes a special amount of talent in order to do something like that, because you're hitting a small white ball with a round stick, and you're trying to hit it straight or even like hit it 400 plus feet. Like, that takes some real skill to do. And like I tell like my friends back home that like think that they could play professional baseball, I'm like, there's a reason that I'm no longer a hitter right now. Like, clearly somebody thought I wasn't good enough to do it on that scale. And I mean, I respect the intuition or retrospection that whoever thought that had, but I'm glad to still be able to play baseball and put the jersey on my back every day. So I just tell people, like, this game is way harder than you think.
Yeah, and the pitcher kind of always has the advantage. He knows where to throw because he has the catcher there. He knows what he's throwing. He's just got to hit the pinpoint that he wants, and hopefully the ump isn't. Hopefully the ump is on his game that day.
Yeah.
So.
Definitely.
But hey, Maceo, I want to thank you for coming on. Please let everybody know where they can find you at. Your socials. The floor is yours.
First off, thanks for having me. I appreciate the invite. It was a great time on the show. My Instagram is maceo.c9, maceo.c9. That's kind of the social media I use the most. Also have Twitter, which is Maceo C9. Yeah, that's about it.
Hey, hopefully we can sit there and follow you in your career. Every level you move up, we'll sit there and reach out and get you back on until we see you at Fenway.
Okay, cool. Love to be back.
So, and don't worry, I'm definitely going to hit you up so we can sit there and play some Fortnite, and we can show my kids that I'm not as bad as they think I am.
Okay, cool. Let's do it.
So, okay, like I said, this is Maceo Campbell. He is a relief pitcher for the Green Drive, and well, great interview. Let's talk to you guys next time.
Thanks for having me.